Good morning. Hopefully everybody can hear me okay. If not, let me know. If the fan is too much in the background, please let me know. Next week I'm going to try microphones that we have here, and hopefully it helps a little bit. David, how are you? Rick, how you doing, buddy? Let's see. Analytics. 7,000 views. So we gained 60 subscribers this week on our YouTube. Thank you guys for those of you that joined. Matt, welcome. Good morning. We had over 7,000 views this last week on our YouTube channel. That's 547 more than usual. So thank you guys for that. I've been trying to engage more with everybody on YouTube as well. But it looks like we only have currently 1,268 subscribers. That's pretty low, being that I think our Facebook channel, we have, let's see, I know we have a few Facebook pages, I guess, for lack of better term here. Let's see, US Amps. We have 34,000 followers on our US Amps Inc. page. So if we have 34,000 followers on our US Amps Inc. page, and our YouTube page only has 1,268 subscribers, that means that wow, a lot of us are not transferring over there. So if you guys could please, I'll tell you what, I'm gonna offer something. Okay, we aren't currently, Mr. Stevens, hello, how you doing, sir? Roberto Adamsuela, welcome. Lori Jackson, welcome. David Frederick, how are you? Mr. Peter, how are you, bud? Danny James, what's up, buddy? So for those of you that have not yet, yes, Rick, David is on here because he is currently helping with a few of our projects. So I've been blessed to have met Mr. Stevens a long time ago, back when I was working on the design of the 50HC, SQ442, and 100HC, and he so kindly told me that I had no idea what the fuck I was saying and to shut my mouth, and I thank you for that, and has since tried to teach me, just as Dirk has, over the phone, about repair and proper terminology, because I don't know that. I taught myself by watching YouTube videos. So yes, welcome Mr. Ray Terry, how are you? Joseph Welch, what's up, my brother? So yes, David, Mr. Stevens has been so kind as to dedicate some of his time and knowledge to helping us out with a few of our issues, moving forward with a couple designs that I was working on. So thank you, David Stevens, and welcome to US Amps. So for those of you that have not yet, again, for everybody joining here, I see we're climbing real quick, and last week we had over 11,000 views, which is awesome. Okay, so I want to keep growing this. I don't want to spend the time on the platform complaining, and I know that's me. Part of being a grumpy old man is I like to complain about things, but I don't want to do that. I want to use this time to be informational to those of you that are part of the US Amps family and trying to put your systems together, and or just thinking about building a system. That way, with the knowledge that you can gain here, it will tell you what you should and maybe should not order, okay? So I want to utilize that time for that, utilize this platform for that. But also, a lot of us don't have the time or are able to watch this show, being that it's in the middle of the day on a Monday. We used to do it in the evenings on Monday, but then that means I'm spending more time, which in the evenings on Monday, I need to start talking with the build houses. So we do share this, or I share this in the evenings, right? The day of, I share it to our YouTube channel. So for people to be able to see that, Stephanie, welcome. We need to grow the YouTube channel. So please, for those of you that have not yet, and I see we have 34,000 followers on our US Amps Inc. page, and we only have 1,268 followers or subscribers on our YouTube channel. So please, for those of you that have not taken the time to go to YouTube, it doesn't cost anything. If you currently have a Google account, which most people have a Gmail account of some sort, whether you use it or not, it's kind of irrelevant. This is not a monetary thing. This is for organic growth of the US Amps brand and name. So if you can go to youtube.com, find the neat little US Amps logo. It's gray with US Amps in light blue or baby blue with the old style palm tree here. I'm going to show you here because I have it up live here. Let's see. Can I do this without messing up? This is what the US Amps channel picture will look like when you go on YouTube. So see here it says only 1,268 subscribers. We have gained 60 in the last month, so thank you for that. And we have we grew over 7,000 views, which is up almost which is up almost 600 views from the week following. So thank you for that. But I want our YouTube channel to be informational to those that can't watch during the day here on Facebook, and I don't know how long Facebook plays this for without us paying for it. So please, for those of you that had not yet gone to our YouTube channel, please go to our YouTube channel and at least subscribe. You don't have to like the videos. I'm surprised this many of you actually like listening to me run my mouth, but I'm blessed and I'm thankful that you do, because it's helping the brand grow organically. So again, go to youtube.com, find the US Amps channel, which has the neat little logo in light blue, and subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything. For everybody that I see go on and do that, because I think there's a little analytic dashboard here that I can see. For those of you that do that, we're no longer doing any of the merchandising in-house. We are doing all of that through a third-party vendor, which Rigo has found and actually sent us some of the shirts and stuff here. They're really soft, they're nice, so I love it, because we were losing money doing that before because I had to find the right shirts and the right material for the logos and whatnot, and I'm picky. So thank you to Rigo for doing that and helping as always. But that also means that I can't just send merch to you for doing something. I'll have to go online, purchase it, send it to me, and then send it to you. So, but I do still have some shirts here. I have, I think, some hoodies and some other stuff here. I think we have some cups that we tried out, some like thermos, like cooler cups. So for those of you that I see, go on our YouTube channel and subscribe over the next week until the next Mondays with Mike. I'm gonna go on our analytical dashboard here, see who you are, and I will send you a little gift basket or gift package from US Amps. Okay, thank you. Just as a thank you, stickers, whatever it is that you want. Again, so I want to utilize this time to help people gain knowledge. So I think a lot of us still, even in this, as we've been around now almost 5 years. We've had products selling since January of 2024, and the turnaround as far as product being returned is excellent. Hey, Mr. Christopher, how are you? We have there is an issue with our Class AB amplifiers, the USA SQ442, the 100HC, and the 50HC, in regards to the way it works with certain DSPs. The problem is, and I'm not sure, I haven't figured it out yet. One of our many US Amps family members, Aiden, was nice enough to send me his Helix DSP because that's where we first noticed the problem. John Centers, who is one of our most winningest sound quality competitors with all US Amps, literally almost all US Amps equipment. The only thing he wasn't using was our DSP because I didn't have one yet. It's something in the way the DSP is turning on and immediately adjusting the gains on our amplifiers. For those of you that have been around a while, you know on my old videos I used to share and show how if you adjusted the gain without the amplifier being loaded, meaning no signal coming in, if you just had the amplifier on and you adjusted the gain, especially if you were 15 volts and over, the amplifier would go into protection. Fortunately or unfortunately, it depends on how you look at it. From our aspect, it's a fortunate thing because the amplifier saves, the protection circuit saves the amplifier from doing more damage to itself. You should never adjust a gain unloaded. I wanted to, this week, I wanted to set up on one of our systems that we have here and show you guys how to tune your system, starting with your head unit, going to your preamp or DSP, and then to your amplifiers. Unfortunately, Tony had something that he had to take care of, and I want Tony to do this. Because he has more knowledge than I do regarding other equipment that's not just US amps, but he's probably tuned more systems than I have, and tuned them properly using the TermLab. I want you guys to get out of the habit of using a multimeter to set up your amplifiers. Let me preempt that. Everybody's going to freak out on me. It's okay to use a multimeter to set up your amplifier if you want to know the voltage coming out. But if you have not set your source units, or units plural, before clipping, meaning that the signal coming in through your RCAs is not already fucked, clipped, insert bad terminology here, that's going to then in turn the output signal be clipped. If you have not set up your head unit, and then whatever's in between that, your preamp, your equalizer, some people still use. I had somebody bring one here for a car that we're working on, and I told them no, we're going to use a DSP. But if you have not set your DSP up properly, you can add clipping to your line with your DSP. And I'm going to go off in the weeds here because unfortunately, that's just part of it. Now, when you're running a small Class D amplifier like this is our, just so you know, this is our regular Impact 100.4. It looks like this because it's the prototype, okay? If you have a regular Class D amplifier, mids and highs and subs, you're not in real danger of causing a lot of damage if your source unit or source units, plural, are giving your preamp and then your amplifier a clipped signal, which in turn is then to go to your speakers clipped. And why is that a problem? Okay, for those of you that don't know, when you end up with a speaker that, do I have one here? Hold on, I'm going to show a picture, and this is the whole reason that I did what I did this week. I'm utilizing a different phone because I want to show you pictures of what happens when you send a clipped signal over and over again to your subwoofers. So it creates heat, okay? It's going to create heat at the subwoofer, basically at the coil, where the coil rides in the gap. It's going to create heat there. And that's going to end up feeding back to your amplifier and creating heat, which then makes the amplifier put out distortion. Heat makes the amplifier create distortion, whether it has it in its original design or not. It's very important to make sure that your signals to your input are clean, RCA. Two, that your input voltage is what the amplifier wants. 3, your power and ground for your amplifier. Okay? This is very important. This is a normal US amps, USA 50HC. It's our normal power supply. Output section. Okay, you'll see here that we have, sorry, people are calling. We have a single 1-aught power and a single 1-aught ground. With a 50HC, you can run a 1-aught power and 1-aught ground if you're going to run it stereo, which, okay, here's another issue where people don't understand or get confused. Our 50HC and 100HC are 2-channel full range amplifiers. Most of our amplifiers have always been full range Class AB 2-channel amplifiers. But because of the power they make, especially when bridged mono, that's taking both of the channels and combining them, if the amplifier is engineered and designed properly, when you cut your ohm load in half, you should double your output power. Clean. That's what was so amazing about the US amps, because not all amplifiers did that. So when you're bridging this amplifier, if you look, it shows you how to take the outside of the one channel and the outside of the other channel, and that combines both channels. When you do that, and you go no lower than 2 ohm, because that's not what the amplifier is not made for any less than that. Unfortunately, if you guys have watched the video, I forget the guy's name that does all the amp dynos, the one that made this dyno such a big deal. Anyway, the big guy there, I forget his name. Anyway, he went ahead and tested this 50HC at 1 ohm, even though I asked him not to, and the amplifier made more power. It didn't efficiently or otherwise fall on its face. Hey, what's up, Renee? How are you? That's due to the design. But when you get into the 100HC or SQ442, you're going to have problems when doing that. So please don't do that. 2 ohm mono is the lowest we want you to go with the 50HC, 100HC, or SQ442. Now, when you do that, a lot of people don't even bother to look at, hey, Emma, how are you? Mitch, what's up, buddy? A lot of people don't bother to look at their owner's manual. I wish they would, because there's a lot of great information in there. I'm going to open this brand new box right here. And I'm going to go through this and show you what this means, because a lot of people don't understand what they're looking at when they look at this first picture. Okay, the very first page shows you the 50HC, the 100HC, and the SQ442. I always take the time to write on there what the color is of the unit and what your minimum amperage is for the amplifier. See this one? This is a 50HC, but I wrote on here 500 amps minimum. How do I know that? I know that's what this amp needs. A, because I design it. That's right, Derek Wilson. Okay. B, but because I've taken the time to test the amplifier. All right? When I test the amplifier at 2 ohm mono, if you turn to the first page, it says right here under 50HC, at 200 amps and 12 volts, the amplifier will make 1270 watts. That's 100% true. Now, for those of you, this is where we're going to start getting into the weeds. For those of you that understand Ohm's law, when you raise your voltage and have the ampacity, have the amperage on hand to give to the amplifier will create more power. That's what US amps have been known for fucking decades. Literally since 1986, okay? Not all amplifiers do that. Do some amps make more power when you bridge them? Absolutely. Are they making efficient, clean power? No. No. And that's honestly, when you look at a box of most brands, what they show you is not the 2 ohm or whatever the lowest ohm load that the amplifier can create power at. They don't show you that on here. And if they do, they don't show you what the THD is, because it's fucking disgusting. most Class D amplifiers, which is what I'll put these up against. Let's put this 50HC, which is a 1270 watt at 12 volts and 200 amps. Let's put this up against a regular Class D 2000 watt amp. Why? Because I know at 500 amps and 14.7 volts, this amplifier will make over 2000 watts. And it does it at 0.04 THD. Your average Class D amplifier, 2000 watt Class D amplifier at 1 ohm, which is most Class Ds, they're made, you want to run them at 1 ohm, and they are more efficient, meaning that the way they create power from their 12 volt source uses less amperage than our Class A Bs, but in doing so, it's dirtier. Most of your Class D amplifiers at 1 ohm, I don't want to name a brand because I don't want to pinpoint. You guys can pick, because most of them are made in one of 3 or 4 build houses. Most of them internally are 85 to 95% the fucking same. They might be changing certain components. They might change capacitors, which a lot of people liked to point out that ours were a Chinese capacitor, even though the one that they wanted so bad, Nichicon, is also from fucking China. Thank you. As if we didn't check that with our LCR meter to see if it made within its value before we did that. But I guess we're stupid and we don't understand how to use a meter and check a value of a capacitor before buying it at $7 a piece, or less than a fucking penny a piece. Dirk Ecker has been designing amplifiers since before I was an itch in my daddy's fucking ball sack. He was the one that said, if the capacitor, if the transistor, if the resistor, insert part here, if it creates on its meter, whatever it is that you're testing, however you test whatever that part is, if it's creating within 5 to 10% of its value of what it's rated at, then it's going to do what you want in the design it's suited for. So why would I pay $7 more just because somebody likes the name brand of something? Because in turn, times that by however many pieces, it ends up making this amplifier cost more to you. Now, if you guys already know, if you want a different brand on here, I have them right fucking here. I'll do it for you. We've already shared pictures and videos of amplifiers that we've built full of Nichicon capacitors. Did it make more power on the dyno? No. Is it necessarily the capacitor's fault? No. Does that mean that Nichicon is worse than whatever this brand is, Decon or whatever? No. That means that this circuit was set up for this, right? Set up for these capacitors. There's other things, there's other parts, there's other things, sorry, I'm missing the word right now, involved with what the outcome could be and why that could have happened. Okay? So it's not necessarily that's fault. I went off on that tangent because it's funny to me how people will hear something, in this case, Nichicon capacitors, and know that US Amps had used them for years, and now because we didn't use them, we tried cheating you. When in fact, that's not the case. It was actually the opposite. It's funny how people don't even understand how to test a capacitor or what it even means, but because their cousin's brother, Larry's, Fred, George, said that it should be Nichicon, and we didn't use them, that these must be shit. It's just funny to me, you know? People can not have a slightest, foggiest idea what they're fucking talking about, but because their friend said it, and that guy had 2 10s and it broke his windshield back in 1993, right? Everybody hears that fucking story. He knows what he's talking about. Anyway, so I'm going to go back to what I was talking about here, because it's very important, and there's a reason for it. This does not mean that you use a 200 amp fuse on this amplifier. This does not mean that you run this amplifier at 12 volts. This is telling you what the amplifier did when we gave it 12 volts and only allowed it to draw 200 amps. it made 1270 watts. By one at 2 ohm mono. It made 870 watts by one at 4 ohm mono, and so on. It tells you the distortion factor. It tells you the input sensitivity. Basically everything that you want to know. Now, because we've found somebody that reached out to us, thankfully, he's going to be doing a third-party testing of all of our equipment, not just our Class AB amplifiers. He has the equipment to do so. He's already seeing that some of these numbers are not overinflated. They're actually a little light. So the numbers that we're seeing, or I've seen so far, show our noise floor lower than any amplifier available. And I don't care what price range you're talking. Most of you guys already know the current price that I'm selling these amplifiers at, we're losing money. And I did that for a reason. I didn't start this to become a millionaire. I started it because I've loved audio my entire life. I did it because I didn't really understand or even comprehend at the time that I thought it was bullshit when the guy said, "Hey man, you want to bring back US amps?" You know what I mean? I remember installing US amps as a younger guy and not being able to afford to own one, being scared to install them because I didn't want to break it. I mean, I had a Sherwood 240 pushing 4 bumper 15s in my Blazer back in the day, you know, and that was some garage sale and flea market shit that probably wasn't wired right. I knew nothing about feel small parameters. We just built a box that fit in the fucking space and cut holes that sometimes the speaker would fit through and have to make rings because I knew nothing about that shit. But hey, we thought it sounded good back then. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Perfect. So, my point in what I was saying with these amplifiers is when you're running a Class AB amplifier, it is not the same as a Class D amplifier. Now that is our 50HC, 100HC, SQ442, and 500HC. I do not care if you have a 5,000 watt Class D, insert name brand here, in your truck. If I give you a 500HC and you're not upgrading your power and ground wire and upgrading your, I hope you're using lithium at this point. If not, you should not even be thinking about our 500HC unless you have 20 AGM batteries with isolators. The difference is the efficiency, okay? I'm telling you right now, our Class AB amps are a little more efficient than most Class AB amps. What does that mean? The efficiency of the amplifier is how it creates power, okay? How it takes the 12 volt input that you're giving it, how it steps it up, and then turns it into usable power. That's what the difference is between a Class D, a Class A Class AB, a Class H, a Class A. There's many different classes, and that's not just, I used to think it was just the topography or how the amp was laid out, but that's not true. It's a combination of things, but what's most about is how the amplifier takes that 12 volts and turns it into usable power. We can go off on another tangent about that, but let's not. What I want to do here is I'm going to take one of our amplifiers. Well, I'm going to probably take a 100HC out of the box, brand new. I've done this before, just so you know, but I'm going to do it to prove a point. I'm going to connect the power and ground with a single 1/0 wire. I have more than enough juice here. I have an LTO bank that can power 2 or 3 500HCs. So, what I'm going to show you is the problem when you bottleneck, okay? People think because I had a 5,000 watt amp that I should have no problem running the 500HC. That's not true. It's not, and I get it, I got it this morning. I'm not going to name names because it's irrelevant. I'm not talking about people individually. This is a fact. And this is fact that I'm trying to share with everybody, not because, and some people take it like And it's an ego thing. Trust me, I get it, because in the beginning, I fought it as well with things that I didn't understand. I didn't understand lithium, and I just wanted to keep using AGM, 5 years ago. I definitely didn't understand design of an amplifier, but I had no choice but to learn. And in doing so, even though I had years of installing equipment in cars, I've built systems since before I could fucking drive. I was putting systems in cars. People probably on here might know people that from back in the day. I built systems. I mean, I'm not a great carpenter still even to this day, but I've always been good with electronics and wiring. And I installed many systems back in the day. Well, I think 10, 11 years old. So, right around 87, 88 is when I started installing equipment in cars. I had a full car audio system set up in my house, running off of battery chargers back in the day. But anyway, so a lot of people don't understand, and they think because they have a voltage meter that shows them, hey, I just hooked up this 100 HC. I have it wired at 2 ohm mono, and the book right here says 350 amps, so I'm going to put a 350 amp fuse. I just told you that's not what that means, and I probably should specify that, so I apologize. But what this means is at 350 amps and at 12 volts, the 100 HC produced 1900 watts. And we could test this until the cows come home. That's what it's going to do. And that is another big difference between our Class A, B, and other amps and everybody else's. Everybody calls their 5K a 5K, and because it makes 8,000 watts on the stupid SMD 81 dyno, everybody makes a big deal and they run out and buy it because it's $200 and it made 8,000 watts. First of all, it takes a fucking millisecond for that machine to read power. Just because it does it doesn't mean it's clean, and it doesn't mean it's going to do it long enough for your speaker to utilize it properly. This bank is a resistive load. There are giant resistors inside that. You guys, I'm pointing at it as if you know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the dyno. Do I use this? Absolutely. I use it to test almost every amplifier that goes out the door here. Almost. But what's inside of this are giant resistors. That is not the same as what you use your amplifiers for, which is a speaker or a subwoofer. Do I have something here I can use? I don't think I have. Oh, you know what? Here. Yes. Let me get a voice coil. Will this work? Okay. This is a 4-inch voice coil. For those of you that don't know, and I just unplugged everything. Sorry, guys. I should have been a little better prepared. All right. So, for those of you that don't know, this is subwoofer basket, subwoofer motor, which is comprised of a top and bottom plate, a T-pole or a center pole, and a magnet. The magnet is the motor. What the magnet does, right? This is the voice coil. The voice coil, see how it goes in here? Watch this. This is what everybody gets all excited about. Watch. So I'm going to tie these. These are the tinsel leads, which end up at your speaker leads. This is what you end up connecting your speaker wires to, is this. And this ends up in the winding of your voice coil. What that does is, here, watch. Everybody loves seeing these go down nice and slow. This is not doing anything. This is moving only on the resistance of the metal on the voice coil, working against the magnet on the outside and inside of this motor. Now, this motor has neodymium magnet in the center and ferrite magnet on the outside. I won't get into the differences of magnets, but Neo is much stronger and can be used, but also gets hotter. There's anyway, this is our hybrid motor. I'm rebuilding this for somebody because it got absolutely destroyed. You can't really see down in there. I wish, oh yeah, can you see that copper down in there? That's part of the voice coil that got destroyed. Why? Why did that happen? Let me show you the picture of what happened to that speaker. And it goes along with what I was talking about before with clipping and signal, and why it's so important to make sure that your signals are clean. Because especially when you get into a 5K and a 10K, maybe not other people's, but definitely ours, because ours produce it and they produce it consistently. That is very important and makes a big difference in what your speakers and subwoofers see. A millisecond or a nanosecond is one thing. A continuous 6, 7, 8, 9, 10,000 watts is different. Do you see that? That is the same voice coil that I just showed you, a 4-inch voice coil that was in this subwoofer that received multiple clipped signals. Probably a continuous clipped signal. It melted, the voice coil got so hot that it melted, it fell apart, and because of the power of the amplifier, it kept pushing it. What does an amplifier do, for those of you that don't know? So it works on resistance right here. I just showed you, right? So when you hook up your amplifier to these two leads, which end up being your speaker leads, once I build it, right? Just like this. Sorry. I should have these on so you can see everything. This is another one that I'm putting together. This is a voice coil, just like I just showed you in a smaller. The leads that I showed you from the voice coil go to the tinsel leads, which come out and then end up at your speaker lead. Your negative is always on the right and the positive is always on the left. So when you hook these wires up from your amplifier, by the way, this voice coil, any voice coil, is what determines ohm load. The way this thing is built, this voice coil, the gauge of the wire used, the number of wraps around the former, this is called a former, that is what determines the ohm load. Okay? So once you hook your power and ground up from your amplifier to your speaker, doesn't matter if you have a single voice coil lead or dual, some have quad. I mean, I've seen all kinds of variations. But what it does is it directs voltage through your speaker wires. It excites this and pushes it up, right? Pushes the speaker up. This is the time where most amplifiers that don't have damping factor lose control of the speaker, and it requires or relies on the motor force to pull the subwoofer back. Sometimes you'll hear a tap. They call that backplating. A lot of the times you'll look at a wall of speakers and you'll see some are moving differently than others. That has to do with damping factor. That has to do with the control the amplifier has on the subwoofer. The cleanliness of the signal that you send to your amplifier will end up doing damage to the voice coil if it's not clean. Those of you that are taking a multimeter and merely testing the output of your amplifier and using the gain over here as if it were a volume knob, please don't do that. Do I want you to learn? Yes. And that is why we're doing what we're doing here. And so just so you guys know, this is what we're going to do. Tomorrow, we're going to have a system set up. We're going to have the Term Lab set up. Tony's going to be here, and we're going to show you how to tune. It's going to be a long one, guys, but we're going to end up sharing it to YouTube. Why? Because I want everybody to be successful in setting up their systems. I don't need to keep it a secret because I want you to come to me and pay me. No, I want you to know. Just like everybody that contacts me, if they're having issues with their subs, if they're having issues with their speakers, if they're having issues with their amplifiers, I think most people's ego automatically gets excited when I ask to see your installation. It's not because I want to say you're doing something wrong. We already know there's something wrong. Something's not working. What I want to do is figure out what that is so I can fix it for you and give you another piece of equipment and have it be happy and work. Now, everybody knows this is electronics, guys, so things fail. Shit does happen. I don't build all of these by hand from scratch. And even if I did, I'm human. I make mistakes every day of my life. What I try to do is not make that same mistake over and over again and be surprised by the outcome. There's a word for that, right? So, when I ask you to let me know, Tony is our new lead installer here. He has multiple 160 plus dB SPL builds, and just from what I've seen in the time he's been here, has excellent knowledge in regards to not just subwoofer enclosures, not just building them, but understanding why ports need to be a certain size and depth and relation of the subwoofer to the opening, or I mean, he's well versed and well knowledged. Whether he gets that out to the customer, we're going to work on that. But in the time that he's been here, whether you like him or not personally, that's irrelevant. Whether you like me or not personally, not many people like me, believe it or not. I end up blocking most of the people that I talk to on my personal cell phone because they think I'm talking down to them when I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to teach. The thing is, even as someone that's trying to teach, if you can't yourself continue to learn, then you're doing something wrong. Okay? When Tony came here, or anybody that comes here, Rick, there's people on here that are watching right now that have worked here or have worked with me or we've done different things with, and we've probably bumped heads. That's just the way I am. I'm kind of confrontational when it comes to certain things, especially when it's the truth or the truth as I know to be it. But I'm always open to learning, okay? If somebody I'm talking to, like David Stevens, I might not agree with his approach always, but I know the man has more knowledge than me. So if what he's saying I'm unsure of, I'm going to shut the fuck up and I'm going to listen. The unfortunate thing on the cell phone is you're not in face to face. You're texting, and some of these, especially younger people, I don't want to stereotype. I shouldn't do that. It's an ego thing. It's a man thing. I did it most of my life. I'm definitely guilty of it. You couldn't tell me shit as a 35 and beyond. Before that, I mean, shit. As an 18-year-old, you couldn't tell me shit. I was indestructible. I knew it all. You couldn't fight better than me. You couldn't fuck better than me. You couldn't do anything better than me. And fuck you if you tried, right? Unfortunately, that's not the way to live. There's always somebody better. There's always somebody that has more money. There's always somebody that has more knowledge. The thing is are you going to shut up and fucking listen and learn? Or are you going to continue to be a knucklehead and fight the system? So, I learned about 10, 11 years ago that I'm not the best at everything, and there's always room to learn. And that makes me a happier person. So when you get blocked on here, it's because I've done all I can to try to help you, and you're taking what I'm giving you that's supposed to be knowledge as us arguing or fighting. I don't do that anymore. I hung my gloves up a long time ago. Where I come from, you're not supposed to show off or talk about your background, but I fought for years. And for those of you that know anything, the color of the belts mean nothing. It's the stripes on the belts. Real belts, you don't get colors. That was a weapons thing. But my days of fighting are long over with, guys. When I'm talking to you on our phone or on a live or on a text, if I'm taking time out of my fucking day to explain something to you and you respond to me as if you understand, and then you message me 2 days later with something that's broken, and I know you didn't take the time to listen to me or at least read what I typed to you, and then you want to get aggressive with me, I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't. I've shared videos where and I'm going to do it today. So I need to shut up and I need to start wiring. Actually, I should do that while I'm talking. I shared videos where I've hooked up a 100HC with a single 1/0 wire for power and ground, having plenty of power to support it, but wiring it at 2 ohm mono. And this, if anything, this is one thing that this machine does good for what I'm talking about now. Being a resistive load, and I probably should have said that earlier. Look at all the voice quotes we got from Precision Econo-Wine. Thank you, Lacey. We've been waiting on those. I got lost again. So this is a reactive load because it moves. People talk about box rise or impedance rise. The impedance that your amplifier sees changes as the cone and the coil moves up and down. That is a reactive load. This is a resistive load because it's using resistors. The ohm load does not change. How does that help in what I'm trying to prove here? Because when you tell this thing the amplifier is seeing 2 ohms, it does not change. A lot of the people that have their big amps now that are supposed to be 10Ks, but they're not, and they are feeding 16 volts to them, trying to trick them, wiring at 0.5 ohm, even though they're really only 1 ohm amps. Hey, I'll give you a warranty because if it blows up, you know, I'll just give you another one because I'm making so much money on it. I wish I was in that situation. I'm not. They count on box rise or impedance rise for the amplifier to stay alive. Why? Because regardless of how much knowledge they actually have of what's going on inside their brand, they do know that impedance rise is a real thing, and it's not very often that your amplifier, when wired at 0.5 ohm, is going to actually see 0.5 ohm. And that's what the Term Lab shows. And that's why it's important to utilize that. And that's why all of our videos, we use the Term Lab, because you can see rise. And that gets into the damping factor that I talk about that our amplifiers have and others don't. And the slew rate that our amplifiers have and others don't. And we have since, what is this, 1990? Let's look here. Slew rate, 150 VUS, 30 VUS, 150 VUS. Damping factor, more than 200, more than 400, or greater than, 800, 1,000, 800, 2,000, 3,000. Most of the amplifiers today, if they have 250 damping, it's a lot. Our amplifiers, since our creation in 1986, have always had high slew rate and damping factor. That's why somebody could take this VL25 that made 12.5 watts at 4 ohm, but did 600 watts at 1/4 ohm at 0.006 THD, and they would run that on 415s, and they could run in a 12, 0 to 100 watt class or 0 to 50 watt class and go clean up. Damping factor and slew rate. That all has to do with the way the amplifier performs, the way it reacts from your source signal. Okay? from your source signal, from whatever your sources may be, whether it's your phone. If you're using, I just learned this myself. I don't have it. I threw it out. Oh, wait, I can probably find the picture. I blew a voice coil up almost as bad as the one I just showed you in the Z-Tony 8. The US Amps Z-Tony 8. I did it. That car is tuned perfectly. There is nothing wrong with the way anything is tuned in there. I have enough juice and alternator to run anything I put in there. We had two 500 HCs in there and two SQ442s. That eats all the amperage in the world. I know I have the juice. I know we had that the DSP was set up properly because Tony had just done it. Rick has been in there and done it. Many people have been in that DSP and set it up properly. The last person to do it was Tony. We sat here and listened to the car. What I learned that day and what I learned at Made of Steel after blowing up my personal subwoofer that I built for a car that I love very much, I learned something that day. I thought it was the way I built the sub, but it was not. If you're using whatever you're using for music, I use Spotify. If it's not wired to your DSP, you have a chance of that signal being clipped. If the songs, even if you have perfect signal and your rate of exchanging information is extremely high, if the song is not downloaded and you're counting on whatever else you're doing on your phone while you're using it as a music source, you're taking the chance of sending your DSP and then in turn your amplifier and then to your voice coil on your speaker a clipped signal. I didn't know that. I thought if your amp was set up properly, your gains were set up properly, your DSP was set up properly, your cutoff points of all your crossovers on your DSP were set up right, and there was no way that you were overpowering your speakers, that you had plenty of voltage and amperage for the amplifiers, then everything else was gravy. No, I learned the hard way. Now I have to rebuild two 18-inch subwoofers for myself. I hurt one of them and I destroyed the other. Just so happens I had somebody else bring another sub like that to me this week. Same thing, man. Same thing. I'm learning, and I want to offer that knowledge to you as well. Why? Because with our 5K and our 10K, I just learned in the Z-Tony 8, because there was a 10K in there, after I stopped messing and I turned the radio off, I went to push on one of the subs, it was locked up. But guess what? When I turned it on, because the 10K is a fucking monster, it moved and worked just fine. It didn't make any mechanical noise. I thought it was working fine. It started smoking, but that voice coil was burnt bad. Almost like the one I just shared the picture of, you guys. The one I just shared the picture of was another customer, and he also has a 10K. There was slag from the melted aluminum on the basket, in the motor, and on the former. That's how beyond hot that voice coil got. It was melted. I probably was a little light on the protection circuit because a lot of sub frequencies, a lot of you guys don't really care how clean your sub frequencies are. But these amplifiers are very strong and they create a lot of power consistently. And that's the difference, and that's the problem. We're going to start seeing from people that are using these amps, just like when we first came back with the 50HC, the 100HC, and the SQ442, people that had, just for instance, the 50HC, people that had 1,000-watt amplifiers wanted to replace their Class D 1,000-watt amplifiers with a 50HC. And I warned them, hey, what is your RMS and peak rating of your subwoofer? Oh, 500 RMS, but, I'm using this blah, 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 1K right now. Your amp only does 1,000 watts. There's a difference, man. There's a difference between clean, continuous power and most other amplifiers, unfortunately. I don't test a lot of other amps, but the ones that I have tested, there's a big difference. And there always has been. When we first released the 50HC, 100HC, and SQ442, because some people use the SQ442 for subwoofers as well, we started seeing people with blown subwoofers, people with torn spiders, people with torn surrounds. Like, hey, what the hell did your amp do to my sub? Gave it the power that it's yet to be seen? You think you've been giving it 1,000 watts. It might see it every once in a while, but it's not going to see it consistently like our equipment does. All right. So I'm going to take, I don't know. I think I'm better off closing this for now. All right. I'm going to kill this for now. And tomorrow we'll jump back in with a full system setup, and we're going to show you how to tune and clean your source signal, tune and clean your preamp or processor signal, and then tune your amplifier. We're going to set you up for success the best way I know how. Okay? But for those of you that keep sending me pictures, hey man, my 5K, I'm going to let you know right now, everybody that knows what they're doing, Tony, name any of the big boys. Tony Economou, I think, over at Creative Car Audio. He was surprised by the amount of clean voltage he got out of our impact amplifiers. Well beyond those that they carry over there that are $500, $600, $700 a piece. In testing our 5K, getting over 120 volts out clean before the wave even starts to clip. I've seen somebody talk some shit, and it's unfortunate because I actually respected the person. Now it kind of makes me think differently. I don't know, maybe he's just a hater. I don't know. It is what it is. I saw somebody make fun of the fact of what I said, and what I said was taken out of context. When in regards to our 5K and our 10K, I said that the sine wave looked like a Class AB sine wave. And yeah, that doesn't really make much sense. But to me, it did. And what I meant by that was, if you look at the sine wave of a Class AB amplifier on an oscilloscope, the clean portion, it's very clean going up. There's no steps in it. Going up and down. Most Class D amplifiers don't have a clean wave at any point. At any. So when we first put our 5K on the Term Lab, and I was looking for power. I wanted to see what power the amp made with rise, because I wanted to make sure that the damping factor was there. And I don't have the equipment to test it to see if they put damping factor in the amplifier. I can look at the power supply and see that it's beefed up. I can look at the op amps, and I can look them up and make sure that the amplifier has the slew rate that I asked for, but I have no way to test for damping factor. What is damping factor? Damping factor is the amplifier's ability to create power without varying the ohm load. If you wire your amplifier at 2 ohm, it needs to make X power at 2 ohm. Unequivocally. regardless of what your input voltage is, regardless of what your input signal voltage is, regardless of frequency. Another thing, a lot of the tests that you see for your amplifiers that are given in books, not ours, but others, who gives a shit what a sub-amp does at 1,000 hertz? Start paying attention to that stuff, guys. I know nobody really looks at this stuff, but Rigo and I take a lot of time to make sure that the information in here is not only A, accurate, but B, that the information is necessary, it's needed for things that you're going to ask and things that you need to know. It doesn't just say, hey, this amp is only good at 1 ohm stereo and 2 ohm mono. Shit, when I first started and I jumped in because I had to, designing our 50HC, 100HC, and SQ442, I didn't understand the difference between stereo and, what do you mean 2 ohm stereo and 2 ohm mono? That doesn't make sense. It didn't make sense to me. And to some of you, it probably still doesn't. But as I said earlier, what that means is, because our Class AB amps are 2-channel full range, meaning you can use the 50HC and 100HC for mids and highs. They don't have to be used for subs. See, it has a full high pass and low pass filter. There's a reason for that. We use them here in our installs all the time. I use 100HCs on mids and highs all the time. It's clean, strong power that you're not going to get out of a lot of other amplifiers. The information in these books is important and applicable. This is not a generic thing that the Build House gave us. This is something that we put together. I bet most of you haven't even looked at. There was somebody that sent me a message. They were having a problem with their SQ442. It wasn't turning on. I asked to see a picture of the installation. They sent me a picture. I saw that there was fusing. This is not today. So if you're watching this and you think this is about you, it's not. This is weeks ago. And I said, hey, what size is that fuse? It's, I forget what it was, 100 amp, 150 amp. I said, look, man, that's not going to work, because what are you wired at? Oh, I have it wired at 1 ohm stereo. I said, can I see it? So he sent me a picture of the speaker side of the amplifier. He had the channels 1 and 2 and channels 3 and 4 bridged. I said, how are you running that in stereo if you have the amplifier bridged, the channels bridged? That literally means mono. Mono means 1. So again, the person didn't understand the difference between stereo and mono, so I had to get into that, which led into him thinking I was talking down to him when I was just trying to teach him something. But regardless, he had the amplifier wired at 1 ohm mono. He had the SQ442 wired at 1 ohm mono. He said, it says right here, it's 1 ohm stable. It is. It's 1 ohm stereo stable, meaning that you can individually run your channels 1, 2, 3, and 4 all the way down to 1 ohm, and it will operate. You'll get a lot of fucking power out of those channels too. And guess what? If you don't have 2 aught gauge powers and 2 aught gauge grounds, using these or the 4 aught into 1 aught, the amplifier is going to get hot. It's going to get hot anyway, just so you know. Even if you have these amplifiers hooked up properly, if you're playing it for 20 minutes, don't go over and touch the heat sink, especially if you don't have a fan on it. You should always have a fan on Class AB amplifiers, period. You should always have a fan on Class AB amplifiers if you're going to be running them like in a daily driver or they're in the trunk of a car. You should always have a fan on them. Class AB, by nature, they run hot. How hot do you say? Our amplifiers have a thermal protection in them. You don't have to call me and say, hey, the amplifier's running hot. Did it turn off? Well, no. Then don't fucking worry about it. There's a thermal protection circuit. There's a voltage protection circuit. and there's an ohm load protection circuit. Okay? Please, 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 if you're running the SQ442 100HC or 50HC, do not go over and touch the heatsink. I don't care how long you've been playing it. They get hot. They love to operate at 150 degrees. You should not be able to touch metal that is 150 degrees. It will burn you. You can keep that in control. There's nothing wrong with it at 150 degrees, 160 degrees. They're happy. That's what all of these numbers come from. And what I was getting at before is a lot of the numbers shared in hours are light, meaning that they're actually better in real life. And our new friend here, I just saw him talking, Douglas, who has the equipment to do the proper testing, is going to be sharing that with you. And I'm going to share it with the world because I've not paid him, nor have I given him anything for free. He's testing these because he wants to, because he knows the brand from back in the day, just like a lot of you. And he wanted to see if the new US amps that's, and I'm just going to say it, even though it's not made in China, it's not. They're assembled there using our parts and my fucking design. If it's the same as the old school US amps. Are they the same? No. Of course not. It's not me, Dirk, Greg, and a bunch of other guys sitting in a room assembling amplifiers. I wish that it were. I can barely get people to show up on time or do what they're supposed to do, much less rely my whole company and now more money than I even want to talk about on people showing up. The industry, the way it is now, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that we're not able to 100% manufacture in America, because that's what I want. And I thought that's what our new government was leaning toward. I don't want to get into religion or politics, but I really thought that our government was leaning towards bringing back manufacturing to America. The only way to truly do that is to give a company like US Amps, that's been around since 1986, has now been back in business for almost 5 years, and shows the numbers, grants and loans to, like real loans, not I'll give you $1 million and it's $6,000 a week. How can you survive like that? If you really want to stimulate the economy and get manufacturing back in America, then give companies like me that want to manufacture in America stimulus packages to do so. I don't want to take from the government. I want no fucking handout from anybody. I want support to bring manufacturing back to America. I have a business plan that is obviously successful and functioning. Can it be better? Sure, absolutely. And I want it to be, and we will get there. But if you want manufacturing to be back in America, then you need to prove that and show that. I've been on the SBA now for well over a year, and the grants and stuff are just not there. The loans are typical, regular like mortgage loans. I'm not putting my house up. That's not the way a business loan should be, especially for a company that's been in business. We've been a corporation since February of 1990 with no bad credit, no, I don't know about Google reviews. I don't look at that shit. I'm sure some people don't like me, so they probably put bad things on our Google reviews, but I'll gladly walk you. You know what? This is what we're going to do. I'm going to show you something right now, and I guarantee you no other brand will do this, okay? This is how open and honest I'm going to be. I just told you guys before, for those of you that have been watching, we started selling our new equipment, our 50HC, 100HC, SQ442, our links, which a lot of you guys don't know even are available. That's something I should show you guys about. We have links that connect those three amplifiers I was just discussing. Sorry. This. And that's also in your owner's manual. I kind of ran off on a tangent, as I always do, but a lot of other brands don't put useful information on the box or in the owner's manual. You have no business knowing or seeing what a sub amp does at 1,000 hertz, and that's what a lot of them test at. Why? Because the THD is lower at 1,000 hertz. It puts less stress on the amplifier, so it makes some of those numbers look good, and unfortunately a lot of people don't pay attention to that stuff. Let's see here. I don't know if this is going to work or not. Hopefully you guys can see this. These are links. These are made with little pieces that you take the end plates off and attach them. And you see the screws in here. It allows you to take this piece, you take your end plates off, you put these pieces on, and then there's screws that go, see in here? It goes in there and it attaches to these brackets that I've designed and made. So you can take an amplifier like the 50HC, and if you get a red link and hook it up to an SQ442 or two 50HCs, it ends up looking like, sorry, I should just put one together, but I don't have like colored heat sinks here. Here, let me do this real quick. Just so you understand what I'm talking about. You can take two amplifiers that are of the same chassis, which is why our 50HC, 100HC, and SQ442 all have the same chassis. So we could do this because everybody loved the VLX 400s back in the day, right? Everybody loved them. And don't worry, I won't forget what I told you I was going to do. I know I ran off on a tangent again. Here we go. So you can use a link and you can connect as many as you want, actually. But realistically, you're probably not going to fit more than that in a vehicle. And that ends up being just a little bigger, if I remember correctly, just a little bit bigger than the old school VLX 400. See, it ends up being 40, just over 47 inches. So we have these in almost every color, but I can also, I can also Cerakote all three of your pieces to match, and then we can make one big logo if you want. Anyway, so what I was getting to was, we released product in January of 2024, right? All right. It's raining, so hopefully you can hear me. All right. I'm going to show you exactly how many amplifiers have been returned since we started selling amplifiers in January of 2024. Oh, that's my ugly mug. Not the heat sinks, because these are empty. The ones that actually have amps there. You see? 1, 2. And then, I'm not going to bullshit you, there's probably another handful that I have upstairs. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. I think the last time I counted was just under 30 total amplifiers. I don't know how many of you remember, but we've sold, you know what? I can look at the numbers right now and tell you. I can tell you exactly how many 100 HCs, exactly how many 50 HCs, and exactly how many 442s have been sold based on the serial numbers. And let me say, some of them were done right here. I've blown amps up on my live just to show you what not to do. I know one of our sound quality vehicles has an issue. You know what? I should probably share that. There's a certain brand of DSP that likes to start adjusting the gain on the amplifier before it's seeing input signal. And I think I know I've told you before, but I probably haven't shared it with the new people. Do not adjust the gains on our amplifiers unloaded. Meaning, I know a lot of people like to try to tune their own stuff. And what they do is they turn the amp on and they put the multimeter at the end where the speaker channel is, and they start messing with the gain. Do not do that unloaded, meaning without a signal. The protection circuit will kick in, and you might be able to trick it into turning off if you talk to Jason or myself or one of the other guys here. But most likely, you will have to send it in to be repaired. That's why it's so important for us to show you how to properly test and tune your equipment. All right, so based on this, we've sold over 597 50HCs. Over 650 HCs. Yeah, Rick, you know, you've seen me blow shit up here. I blow more stuff up than anybody. And that's the only way I can find out how to tell you what not to do. I like to learn just like I like to try to teach. 1,308. No, that's not right because we went through 1,500. 1,638 100 HCs. 1,638 100 HCs. Over 550 HCs. And SQ442s. 15. 1,729 SQ442s. So 17, 29, 15, 16, 3,000. Let's just say, shits and giggles, 3,300 amplifiers of those same, because they all share the same chassis, right? You guys have learned that from me. And most of you have some, so you know. The SQ442, 50HC, and 100HC all share the same chassis. That's why you can use the link. So, out of 3,300 of those amps sold, we have less than 30 returned. I know when we were working on Dennis Susi's big Betty White, I know he blew a few up, and I know I blew up at least a handful. John Centers, in setting up his award-winning sound quality vehicle for us, we had some issues with the DSP and the way it was controlling the amplifier. So, you know, let me even for niceties and for clarity, to be clear and concise, I'll just say 50. Let's say that I've forgotten about a few. Let's say some have come back, been fixed and sent back, which some have. Okay, let's say 60. Let's go over. Let's double the number. Even if we've had 60 amplifiers returned out of over 3,300 sold, I don't think that's that bad. Especially being that I know I've blown up at least a dozen here. I know I have. I've done it intentionally. I don't think those numbers are bad. So, I don't want to name the brand. If you know John Center's vehicle, you know what he runs for a DSP. But I do know that it's something with our DSPs. It does not happen. You don't have to avoid it unless you're buying another brand DSP. I told you to send me that one that you have back, Danny, and I'll send you one of our new ones. I have 3 of them here. I have 3 of the, what is that, the 14 channel, and I think I still have 2 of the 18 channel. Aiden, you're on here, right? Aiden has the 18 channel, or should any day now, and will be testing that for us. I hope the 18 channel works out well. I'd love to offer that. I'm also working on getting a much smaller, like 8 channel DSP. Trust me, guys, I wish I had somebody asked this morning, hey, when will the DSPs be in? I can't. I just don't have it right now. to get the minimum order quantity of DSPs here is going to be $100,000. We're starting to run low on our Merlin amplifiers. I just put in another order for Merlin amps. What do I need to have? We need to have Merlin amps because that's what people buy. I will probably sell, I bet you we get DSPs here and I'll sell 20 or 30 of them, maybe at most. And then they're going to be sitting. And they cost $600 a piece to make. That's without shipping and tariffs. Yes, absolutely, Wes. Your amplifier is assembled. It needs to be tested. Tomorrow, if you join our live, your amplifier will be on my bench being tested. How about that? How you like that? I do want to make sure that you guys, we've already been on here for an hour and a half. I'm going to share, I'm going to find, because I have it in my OneDrive, for those of you that know what OneDrive is. I have that in my OneDrive where I blew up a 100HC utilizing a single 1/0 wire. That is why I use these here on my bench. Why is that? You guys should be able to answer, but just in case you don't know, I'm going to tell you right now. Even using US Amps wire, which I know carries the most amperage possible, I think at most you're looking at 300 amps. So if you're using a 100HC or a 50HC that I just wrote on the front of your owner's manual, 500 amps minimum, if you're giving it a single 1/0 wire that can only pull 300 amps at max, how is it supposed to pull 500? It can't. So it's going to try, it's going to get hot, it's going to start utilizing what it's stored inside, because the power supplies are big on these little Class AB amps. That's part of why they work so well. And then it's going to start creating distortion. And what's going to happen is it's going to end up going into protection. And then you're going to get mad at me. I don't use fuses. On our installs, I don't use fuses. On our installs for customers, I use fuses. But our protection circuits is the fuse. What do you think a fuse is doing from your power of your alternator to your lithium bank? If your lithium bank goes bad, what is the fuse going to do? It's going to stop the alternator from giving juice to the bank. If the bank's bad, it's not going to draw juice. I'm not saying not to use fuses. Fuses are great. I don't use them here because they're just resistance. But so I'm gonna find that in my OneDrive, which, you know what, I can do that here live real quick, because I love to show proof of what I say, so you know that I'm not bullshitting you. And I honestly think the more I do that, the more you'll take what I say at face value. I think a lot of times people still are unsure when I say certain things, but when I show proof, it is what it is. There's really nothing you can say after that, right? So here, let me go. There's my OneDrive. US Amps. All right, let's see here. I'm not great with computers, so give me a second here. My files. 0 gauge wire. Amp. Blowing up a 100HC. Why would I have that? Because it's a video of me, actually multiple videos of me, June 28th, 2024, me showing you how when you hook up a 100HC with a single 1/0 wire, it'll work at higher ohm loads. But when you start driving it, even at higher ohm loads, when you start driving the amp and it can't pull the ampacity through the power, well, actually more through the ground wire, then you're going to have an issue. Another reason why the grounds are so important. See? Single. I did this to show and prove a point. I'm going to share these to our YouTube channel so you guys can see. I went through the whole thing. Also, I love Rigo so much. He's so smart. He loves the brand, and I have great friends. Seth at Glow Voltage. Seth and Rigo have teamed up. Seth is putting together a complete test station, and he's going to start testing our amps, not from the same avenue as Douglas, to show noise floor, THD, and all that stuff that we've already shared, just to prove to you by another person. You know, obviously our build house wants to show that the amps are great, right? So it's nice to have them tested somewhere else. That's why when I first got them here, I sent one to Marius Dornine, because he was the only other engineer that I knew that had the ability to test. He gave his honest opinion with what he has for testing equipment. You can still see that. It's on YouTube. He shared it. I didn't hide it. He actually tested our 100HC head-to-head with another brand's Class AB amplifier and showed how much better ours was. I didn't share that. It could have really helped us in the beginning, but I didn't share that. My grandfather always said, do not try to make yourself look good by making someone else look bad. And I said earlier, I'm not going to do any bitching, so no bitching. I love that our family is growing. I love that we have people like Douglas reaching out and wanting to help test our amps and show the difference between the quality of our amplifiers and others. And having friends like Seth that's taking the time out of his day to set up a bench so he can show from a voltage and amperage side what our amplifiers require and the difference that it makes in the way that it works. Okay? We're trying to explain to everybody, just like I was earlier with the 50HC and 100HC SQ442 and especially the 500HC, but the 500HC is a different thing. I honestly believe, and some of you are going to take this probably to heart, the 500HC, you know what? Everything except for our impact amplifiers, amplifier-wise, most of you should be taking to an authorized shop to install. By what I've seen from what's been sent to me, I don't care how long you've been installing stuff. And this is not a dig at anybody personally. You're talking about a 10,000 watt amplifier that produces in excess of 16,000 watts. I don't think you guys actually understand that, because most of you are so used to the other brands that make that power for a nanosecond on the SMD81 dyno. These are not the same thing. And if you guys didn't understand that by the input of the power supply, then I just don't think you understand. You should take some time and really read about Ohm's law. There's more to learn. There's more to understand. Okay? Now, don't get me wrong, guys. I'm starting to really appreciate the smaller Class D stuff. And you guys are going to see that because I have a surprise coming for you guys. You know what? I'm going to show you, because I love showing, right? I love showing that there's no bullshit here. This is me talking to my friend over at ADS. You guys know that ADS, who's been around since 1972, 1973, they're the ones that actually build our impact line of amplifiers for us. What does this say? What does this say at the top here? ADS, right? Okay. Let's see. Look at that. Look at that. It lights up. And I think it dances to the music. Or, yeah, look. Here, watch, guys. This is going to be the new Impact. Well, I got to test it. And I'm probably going to have to work on the protection circuit. But hopefully they are using the same one from the 1000.1. Look at this, guys. Really cool. Imagine an Impact 3000.1. This, of course, is a 4-channel, but we're going to have an amplifier we're going to add to our Impact line of amplifiers. For those of you that know our Impacts, we've at this point sold in excess, that means over 200 Impact 1000.1 amplifiers. I've had one be returned, and that was the one that was the original testing unit that I tested, that Dirk tested, that I think went on Brendan's bicycle. I mean, it got the shit beat out of it. This is our Impact amp. For those of you, the Impact 1001, for those of you that are not familiar with it, you're just at, 11 inches, 12 inches long, just under 12 inches long. They're really small. We can make them waterproof for you. All of its rated power is at less than 1% THD. They're great amplifiers. We haven't had an issue with them or the 100.4. And what I want is a little bit bigger amplifier for those of you that maybe don't want to spend or can't spend $800 on a sub amp. And then all of the lithium to provide juice for it. I think an Impact 3000.1 is a great addition to our lineup. And hopefully you will too. So hopefully in the next few weeks we'll be seeing that. That's it. I'm gonna cut this off here. You guys, if you don't see in the background everything that's going on, man, I'm trying really hard to always come up with new items to go along with stuff that we might be lacking. I really hate that we didn't have grills for our timbers. So thanks to Kyle, my buddy, that helped with the design. We also have the pods for those of you that want to install your timbers in a custom location and maybe don't have access to machinery. This can help you to put a pod somewhere. That's what we use them for. Also working on, this is our compression driver, working on some different lenses. The US amps, this allows you to take our timber and install the tweeter pretty much as a coaxial in the center. We've allowed clearance for the woofer, and it also has a channel for the wire of the tweeter. So for those of you that wanted to use our timbers as a coaxial, that is now an option. I've also, thank you again to Kyle. Kyle I gotta say congratulations to Kyle. He kind of just at a whim went to a show this weekend with his escort. Kyle has helped with all of our CAD stuff for probably almost a year now. He helped get the CNC machine set up. He's helped a lot with our 3D printers, in addition to Josh. Thank you, Josh, if you're watching. But we have, if you're doing any custom installs, again, with any of our speakers, but also our timbers, we've made these plates. For those of you that like to fiberglass or like to do custom installs, now you can use these plates. Sorry, I'm trying to do this with one hand. You see how the timber fits? For those of you that know our timbers, they're like a Dynaudio basket, so the size is not, the 8 is not an 8, the 6.5 is not a 6.5. Same thing with the 4 and the 3 and the tweeter. We have these for all the sizes. So if you're doing a custom install and you need something like this, a ring, contact me. We want to see you successful. Look what we're working on now. Thanks to Harry downstairs, we're working on a motorcycle here. We're working on incorporating the coaxial timber tweeter mount to our grill. I'm going to send this over to Kyle with some dimensions today, and then he'll put this into CAD for me because I'm not excellent with CAD, and we'll be able to print these, probably in multiple colors too, right guys? How cool would that be? That way you can have the timber tweeter in the middle and still have a grill for your timber. How cool is that? We're always working on something here. There's never a time that we're not. Like, oh, you know what? I should share with you as well. This is kind of exciting. We do have the new Merlin X motors on the way. Double the Gauss of the former motors. Those were around 2,000 Gauss. The new ones are about 4,800. Now, Gauss rating is not everything. It's just one spec of part of a subwoofer. These didn't need heavier Gauss or a higher Gauss rating because of the design. But with what the changes that we've made, we can use it. We've changed the former and the length of the former. We've changed the length of the wind. That's what some of these voice coils are for. We have 200 motors en route. We also, hopefully, by the end of the day, let's see. Hopefully by the end of the day, we'll have our frames, baskets en route as well. Let's see. Sorry, trying to do this with basically one hand here. Look at that. What do you got there? We got 15-inch speaker baskets, and that's something else. Sorry. And we have 12-inch speaker baskets. Hey! So I'm hoping within the next... We still have enough here. For those of you that have placed orders for Merlin X, like my buddy Eric Zambary, we're doing a custom lime green set. I have enough here to probably build 15 of the Merlin X subs. But I don't feel comfortable, and that's why they're not on the website right now. I don't feel comfortable offering things on our website unless we have, 100 or more. And when these baskets and motors get here, with everything else we have in stock, we will be able to build 100 or more of each sub. Our 12, 15, and 18 Merlin X sub. Also, I have carbon fiber reinforced nylon that we are going to continue to push forward on the Merlin X8 for MB, if you're watching, my friend, and the Merlin X10. We haven't given up on that yet. It just needs to be cost efficient. So, all right, guys, I think I've blabbed enough. Always working on something here. Always working on something, not just for myself, not just for the company, for all of you. Trust me, you don't have to message me on my live, hey, where's my speaker? You think I don't know that I owe people stuff? And this is not even monetarily. I'm talking about because you want something, I want to get it to you. Because I think most of you know, monetarily, I'll give you your money back so I don't have to hear it. Or I'll just give you something for free because I don't want to hear it. Everybody's funny when it comes to money. My grandfather used to say that as well. But I like to give you guys what you want. I'm always working on something. You see this floor? This floor is full of speakers that I'm working on. These are not just for me. These are for everybody. I had built these for me, and Buddy messaged me this morning and now wants them. So this is for everybody. You guys are looking at these and you probably know, hey, that's mine. Hey, that's mine, because they're yours. So thank you guys. I was looking through all of the Slamology and Scraping the Coast, I think it was. I don't know what the other one was. Oh, Liberty Base. If anybody has any good videos of any of our vehicles from any of those shows, the Liberty Base show or Slamology, please get in touch with me. I'm looking for content from those. Yes, my grandfather was amazing. My grandfather came to this country with an 8th grade education. He died in 1990 and left enough for that people in my family are still living off of. Yeah, he bought a lot of pieces of property in Cape Coral, back where I'm from. You know, well, I wasn't alive when he was, I guess, adult, working in New York, and also my uncles as well. They all bought property in Cape Coral, and yeah, no, he was an extremely intelligent man, even though he didn't have a school education. He used to he had books like math books. He used to do not like, he would read about math because it was interesting to him. That's where I got the electrical stuff from. He was always tinkering with something. He showed me, well, he didn't show me how to solder. He showed me soldering. I used to see him soldering on things. Like he would tinker with stuff. Something broke, he would try to fix it himself, regardless of what it was. Definitely got that from him. But he passed away in 1990, but it was a big influence on me. I know you guys hear me say it all the time. My grandfather always said, but anyway, thank you guys very much. We're going to try to do this around noon again tomorrow. It's going to take us a while to get something set up for you. I will let you guys know, because I'm trying to think of what we're going to use. I don't think we have a lot of vehicles set up right now. We're in the middle of builds, so let me make sure, but I will try my best, even if we have to borrow somebody else's build. If somebody's in town here and you have a build that we can tune, please get with me. And if you want to join Tuesdays with Mike and let Tony and I tune your vehicle, please let me know. Thank you guys very much. Did you get the specs on the speakers I sent you for adapters? No, I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm sure you probably messaged me personally, but if you want something for something that you have, please do the research yourself. Again, that's why these books are available. That's why we spend time putting stuff on our website. If you have questions, please, sure, text me a question, but do the research yourself. If you have a subwoofer that's not ours, and you want to power it with something of ours, or if you need something else from me, please give me as much information as possible. Don't make me do the digging for you. Please, 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 please. I have very limited time. I love and respect you all. Please do the same for me. Thank you. Please, please, please enjoy your families, and thank you for being part of ours, the US Amps family. Enjoy the rest of your day, guys. Go to usampsinc.com to order your equipment today. We have sold out of the Merlin amplifiers. Well, we've stopped the sale because I don't want to sell any more than what we have. I want to keep a limited stock until the other ones are en route at minimum. They are already in production. So thank you guys very much. Enjoy your day. Please go to usampsinc.com. Go to YouTube. Go to our channel and at least subscribe. You don't have to like. Hopefully see you this time tomorrow. I'm going to try to get a vehicle that we can at least tune or show you how to tune. Maybe we can just do a little bench setup with a head unit and whatnot. And regardless, I'll make it work for you guys. I love you guys. Thank you very much. Have a good day.